All right, you guys, it is 5:30 on my clock. Tuba City, how are you guys doing this beautiful evening? How's everything going? Are you guys ready to hear from the candidates? Before we get started, I do want you guys to give a round of applause to all these candidates, these presidential hopefuls. If you give them a round of applause for joining us right here in Tuba City this evening, for making the trip and taking the time out of their busy day to be a part of this amazing evening. Well, how are you doing? My name is Mike Sixkiller. I'm going to be your host this evening as we go into the 2026 Presidential Forum, the first of probably many happening here on the Navajo Nation. 16 candidates are vying for the coveted seat of your Navajo Nation president. So we're going to meet them in just a few seconds, but I do want to go over some ground rules, okay? We do got some ground rules for this evening. What are those ground rules? Well, I have them listed right here. All right, so if you guys can, we'd appreciate it if you guys put all your phones on silent. All right, put your phones on silent. Take the time to take your phone out, put it on silent. We really would love to hear your interesting ringtones, but for the next 2.5 hours, let's try to keep that quiet. Now, you're going to hear a lot of comments, a lot of ideas, a lot of creative ways of thinking tonight. Some of their ideas might not mesh with yours, but again, that's their candidate's platform, their way of thinking, and how they feel they should take Navajo Nation to the next level. You may not agree with their comments, but tonight, you guys, we're going to keep all your reactions positive, right? Can we do that? Whether you agree or not, we're going to have a positive environment, and our candidates are going to be able to speak freely and give you their thoughts. Sound like a plan? It sounds like an amazing plan. So there will be no booze tonight, all right? So if you have a lot of booze just sitting in your throat, you just want to get out there, just hold them back. No booze tonight, all right? Also, nobody's allowed to get nachon. Well, B-U-U is okay. We're talking B-O-O. All right? So again, nobody's allowed to get nachon. If anybody gets all mad nachon, we have a little cage back there. You guys can get 5 minutes in that little cage if anybody gets out of hand, all right? If you brought any kids or in-laws, can you guys keep them under control tonight? Signs. Signs of any politician, you guys. If you guys can keep them on the floor, keep them with you, please do not throw them up. We do want to respect everybody in attendance so they can see the candidates and hear them clearly. Restrooms are located up top. If you guys need to go to the restroom, by all means, you can silently get up and make your way to the restroom. Now, the rules for the candidates. As we get started, you guys would have 1 minute to introduce yourselves. All right, introduce yourselves in whatever manner you feel is appropriate, comfortable. You guys got 1 minute to do so. There will be 3 rounds of questions. Each one of you guys will get a random question submitted by the community, and I will just go ahead and pick it out a little fishbowl right here behind the little podium. All right, you guys got 2 minutes to answer that question, and it's going to be a strict 2 minutes. Miss Brittany right here has the official clock. You guys can see that clock. As your 2 minutes is winding down, at 5 seconds, that clock will start blinking. That is your signal to wrap it up. When it hits the 2 minute mark, Brittany will raise her red flag, and that means you wrap it up. If you keep talking, just like she did there, the young lady will turn off the microphone, all right? We definitely want to give everybody time to go ahead and speak. We will do at least 3 rounds, and after we are all done, we will have a meet and greet session. So you guys have questions, you guys are more than welcome to go meet your candidate afterwards. Sound like a plan? Are you guys ready to get started? Well, let's go ahead and get started. So before we start, I definitely want to start this whole presidential forum in a positive manner. So Emmett Curley, can we go ahead and make your way up here? We can go ahead and do the invocation.
Yat Anil Troyat Ehu Ara Hia Lasit Legi a large gratitude Liagi a large Adolil aro kon ya an shago ta hadis aro ishi bin ya agi bahadolj so dizin shedi zanjikin shle tsna jini bashichin 또 토리찐이다 시치로 그냥 아니다 신날래 베다 깨게 라 안단 히스세터 아단 히시로 나가 비기주다 엘라할래 이시바 호인텐 비기주단다 hil세던 야다 하스노 제베 나가 비기다 트랄다 헤신다 아단르니 아빈다 hil세호 난니스다 에호타호 블라카나 에멧 커리 에인시야 나처 Grand Canyon da hajne khojko shada acha hunt igi hayago na be da bajne nek acha Grey Mountain hol ya ko are yisit nan shla ada shmahallon tahadol jizo shahallon tahadol ji shnaldo shi shmasane iltsada shnal sta iltsa ashin tsogde ya the neck Nzakhisto nek yatkito nek all ilbesh ya ade ya niklischad schlil ado nasht astra dan linige balkenst da job bala yo ne da lola do da yula jot ade ya bansus keso ba gensen lo ado ya ko na din istla is nach na Washington bisschen daschen scho all three branches be tradition so what ede ya handso aro sotazin ede ya hot ade ya be haditze shde no de hana shilkhon hat ede da hotel hota da khago nzul kisla la banji yel da ede da na bijin ligen shuta Wat ade ya de nada khanda indo khaya dal da hadol alkota wat ella kota banzas kesos la hauji kis khanda ilan ya ta anzas kisla nsne jonna hat ai kha so dizin be hadit zishid no shidol adi ella ho ko ye ashin not khoden ki so dizin da hallo hashin ain ki otlan dat digin bizarre Bible beginek otla that's zebe na haga that's tatin det nil that's it's also doesn't nal losnal ya khal dan dilge nal yel that ajib so doesn't mel dan tigishi be dal di kwa belagana ko ede ya so doesn't be hadist tare yan tas keso at nek so doesn't التهنجات ليكو آيات إيشاشن تيجين لنيشي آيين خاهن زن هاد نبزا دبل كانا كتا قشي الآدون نأدنيت له الآني الكاكي إدا الزاد بك هاشين خاهن زن هاد آدا لهلا Lord, we lift up to you all our brave men and women in our armed forces and in the public safety personnel. Protect our warriors, police officers, firefighters, and first responders as they stand in harm's way. Grant them courage, wisdom, and peace and safety to return to their homes each night. Dear God, you have power, authority, and control over us. We recognize you as a master. We present to you our potential political leaders here today. These who wish to carry responsibility, accountability, make decisions, and guide our Navajo Nation. Grant them clarity of mind and strength of character, so they may lead with wisdom instead of impulse. Help them practice self-control in moments of pressure, when emotions rise, anger, fear, pride. Teach them to pause, to think, to respond with calm understanding, rather than quick reaction. Give them discipline, Lord, to avoid careless choices and harmful actions. Guide them to choose what is right over what is easy, and to seek truth rather than popularity. Grant them patience. When urgency tempts them to act quickly, remind them that thoughtful decisions protect people and build lasting good. Teach them that wise leadership is not rushed, but steady, careful, and grounded in reason. Lord, help them accept reality honestly, even when it is uncomfortable. Give them humility to admit mistakes, courage to change direction when needed, and openness to listen to others with respect. Guard their hearts from destructive emotions, from envy, division, pride, and resentment, and replace them with integrity, fairness, and compassion. Teach them to grow in wisdom each day, to learn from the past, and to make decisions that benefit not only today, but future generations as well. Remind them that true leadership is not about power or status, but about serving others with responsibility and care. May they lead with discipline, act with patience, and stand with integrity in all they do. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I want to welcome all our guests to beautiful Tuba City, Arizona, home of the Greyhills Knights, Tuba City Warriors, the world champion roper Aaron Sinigini, the 2026 Girls State Championship basketball team, and of course, the 2000 and 2001 back-to-back state champions, also the home of Pizza Edge, Draper Glass, and of course, the best fry bread and mutton sandwiches in all of the Navajo Nation. Am I right? Yep. Pat Kiani is the official fry bread champion of the West over there. You can get her fry bread at every chapter meeting if you guys come on Sunday. We'll see you there. All right. Now, I do want to say we have one more guest speaker before we get started. We got some Mr. Vaughn Salabai, Greyhills Academy High School CEO and principal, will give the welcome address. Vaughn Salabai, come on up.
Good evening, everybody here, and thank you for coming tonight. This is our humble home here. This is our school, and I just want to welcome all the staff and also thank all the chapter officials and staff with the parks. So, Shea Kia Ani Shno Hachini Nanis Hachini Bashindo Ashin Dashichi to the Chitni Dashanella Neslinide Nasha Ado Shikeda Holo. I just want to go ahead and just kind of remind everybody that we like to have our leaders model what we want out there. Here at Greyhills, we do a lot of leadership skill building. We like for our students to become the confident. We want our students to become aware and knowledgeable in their own way and also with their indigenous pride in the knowledge and also in being. So those are the ways that we have here at Greyhills, and those are things that we hold value, and that's what we stand for. We talk about sovereignty. We talk about self-determination. It has to start with our children. It has to start with our kids. So as we remind ourselves the importance of education, education can be done in many ways, starting at the home, all the way through into the schools and up into secondary. I like to see and hear about how we like to begin to correct and lay a foundation for our young ones, for the future. And I'd like to see how we can begin to reform and talk about our government that needs to serve the needs of our people, sort of separate it from the colonial system. We need something that is going to be beneficial for our people, for our land, for our resources. So with that, I just want to go ahead and maybe throw out a few ideas. One of them is maybe we could probably talk about a tax for education, especially for tribally controlled schools, which is what we are here at Greyhills Academy High School. And we are very proud of that we have our local board and we have our community that we serve. And we go off their needs and we work with them. I would like to maybe see, just like how we have a tax for our junk food, maybe we can have one for our knowledge, for our schools, even if it's just 1%. And let's continue to look at how we can improve our system, especially with the people that we work for all over Navajo Nation. We bring our organization up through them and then throughout with your influence and your power. Even if you don't get elected, all of you up here are very influential. You have some say in one way to help move us forward and not stay in the past or the present. We can look at the forward. Let's move forward. So that's my message to you, and also what we stand here for at Greyhills. We like to produce citizens who are understanding, concerned leaders of their community. That's our vision here at Greyhills. With that, I would also like to have my our board president say a few words here, and that's Mr. Max. Thank you.
Yeah, Che. Yate, Shananta, Aroshkeshitanda. I call you Shananta already because anytime you step forward and take on the challenge, you're not Ani already. So thank you for coming out. We really appreciate all of you coming out. Tonight, it'll be your time to shine, and you got to work hard for every vote. Although the sign of the times, the voters, they're concerned, they're suspicious, and there's mistrust, yeah. So that's the voters, that's the sign of the times. So you got to keep that in mind. So, as we go forward. Although the voters, yeah, it's time to go to work. You're going to have to make a decision on who the next president would be. So it's going to be a long process up to November general election. I, for myself, I really like to see a face attached to a name. So a lot of you I met first time. So yeah, thank you very much for being out here. Let me put on my chapter hat. I'd like to acknowledge all the staff that put on this event, yeah. The Tuba City chapter staff or Greyhills Academy staff. Thank you for putting this on. Although my colleagues, President Tuba City chapter Myra Begay, easy. Helen Webster and Angie Williams, Bobby Robbins, Bobby lady, they were Council of Natani, yeah, we're certified. We have an alternative form of government. So Council of Natani, short version of Khan. So if you serve and leave, you're an ex-Khan. So with that, let's get the show on the road.
Thank you, Mr. Max. All right, just real quick, you guys, if you guys can just take a minute or take a second to recognize all the exits. Should we have an emergency, you guys, please identify the closest exits. We have 4 exits. So should we need to make an emergency exit, please recognize which one is closest to you. With that being said, let's get ready to meet the candidates. We're going to start from left to right and go clockwise because we're real secret here in the Western Agency. Johnny Russell, you got 1 minute.
Okay, just now, this is the ha after the name Stanitla. Although 28 is the Tanisane, that's Shija, although Ashe, that's a Cheetos, isn't that Chanel, the Nansle. Although I use a card, landboard is like Kaya begins into home side to tally count as in here. I call Kaya High is beginning and Eastern Agency. I cannot only the sailing song calling Hania a Tania don't this for the aid or the squadation, so not only boon hadil what I thought. I call or Tania call. Harsin cannot only state out and cannot only sing song been get calling Hania or Tania call. What I say that just now, this is then, I call Tolich in is only a whole are you now so Tolich in and cannot only do it on a sort out. I don't hear.
Yat she sendja kininchle teltna ha bilni bashish chin titna janita shche trabahan dashnale leyi twade ayisada nasha shalchini etra megindo heli dal shandin dalia ado shestki Ronnie Johnson. Good evening, everybody. Tonight you're going to witness 16 candidates, those who are not here as well, who are going to share their vision with you about what they have for the next 4 years, possibly 8 years. You have a choice. Please do your homework, look very closely, listen to their heart, look at what they're going to do for your communities, look at what they're going to do for your children, for people with disabilities, for our elderly, and especially for our veterans. We're going to make sure that we do our job to serve you, the people, not ourselves, not our pockets. We want to make sure that we're here for you. So at this time, I want to thank my family's support for being here, for the staff, and for all of the leaders that we have here from the different agencies.
Yat eho she Frank Dace Jr. in she. The way not ani ne shiprock ade yahashi yaho ada kwa yaha nikina nistahadno dani yaho tak ehbada huiliya ohto cheshi no kashi keda delgehegi ho yaha Daniel lan kenach kayo aron nasol jis yaha ultkhagid kwa isla ho aron da yaha nakits at hagido oschebo kote yaha at high school de ho yaha ho aros la so do thadi yaho United States Marine Corps kasnan isla ho at yaha ajnan shodno aro bekero do nana yaha ashe naniskan shari nanistate yehi la ashe la petilwat chede bada hoiliya chede endel na ta ho at itis na ho at yaha kinanistan long hol ji ahe aro khode yahan khada hol aiwa helon da
Joyat shik edos dine ado tahasilo she Dr. Jordan Bigayan she ado be between Twitch eating a song kia ani basishin ye dine touchini edas che ado tatnasani edashinale 20 helite nasha and the ISD nastuts on the haj shike zanes sui the bajaninde yashachained and ado a lily cloud yent and a school board, Shamasane La Nache school board, Greyhills Academy High School, the Bananish Ila, Ado, a could our de Nebanat Ani, Bayashwal, Zonagon, Tarkes, Don had Agi, Be, and the Nebakantes was and single not the Nebanat Ani Benal Soski, but a source. Zonagoshi Hishin died in the stole, Nasco, Edos de Ne, a here are not so.
Yate kedini dole sano ten hodano songi basher khojon khoren khaniya thodenes dezeren khaniya ay yese basher khojon joniye khori nanishat hoda dilni to khashit o ta iliado khashit o niji deskago anada dilni khwinjon shnata tashiaita skada nitzen thatshi ninshle Aronats was a basis chained or Twitch need as a shade on nats was it a chanel, a hot oid, the nebenant and cigar as a tratna, hedomas trandes, it hot on Nihina Nishades, only the nebeke of a car up a hazin, Hawanda hasnil, Hawandan the hast seized to the date lost out, basely cheat a date say to yet need on honor that energy the days was the special cheer that egi delte hoton hinana shidelia di nana khaygo ballat na that the need win so eben na oshkan the nebenant aben nana shulebe a hehen gedini do le to digen halon jono nana catholic.
Oh, wow. I don't have anybody working for me here. Yat Andrew Curley, Yeshinishe, Belaganishle, Hanagani, Bashachim Belagandashacheki, Ane Dashanele. The Dene side of my family is from near Sanders. I'm a member of a Hauk chapter, son of former council delegate, as Boo's former PR person, George Hardeen, likes to remind me in the Navajo Times. The last time I've been here was in 2012 during the Little Colorado River water settlement, and it's really good to be here. There was a lot of contestation around that at that time, and we ended up opposing that. There was a lot of people opposed to it for a good reason. But I see a lot of familiar faces from back then, 2012, going back even earlier. And a lot of those folks are wearing the Boo Nigrin shirts out there, so nice to see you all.
Yat Shikedo, Shidenedo, Sheltrahasinlo, Ado Shideyon, no Senigi, Shedibet Anito Nensle, Tratnes Zanibashindo, Kitlichine, the Shiche. Ashi Eda Shinale, Ado Sensades, Aholia, Rock Point, Arizona, Ado Yanasha, Ado Sambetinash, Inigido Hello, Tatinoba Ash, Lado Yu Wahoyicha, Betinasho, Adon Daishalchin et Halt, the Nana Kido San Tlatelt, Ebe, so Kedo, Nalike, Kodenilta Weljish, a cohort Ade, Ya Quen Hani Krisuli, Ado and the Eya. Konza hadik advances case to bansa case go. Sedishka at yisipeni yatide. I yisipeni yahagishe ade no sel, ade o chil. Sita eto ben yehst edenil zenda. Hashat lahe. Dojil eda dojil neda hat nene. Quest huisan in nene. Del klebe honeshkistidi Ela bik ehodo lele. Jo eloye beniya. Kodo hot yeah.
Yat ado kodo ashine shike she sanje kenen neshle tko het lini bashichin kia ani da she do zeltka kia ani da shenale wat amato astan shle ado alanje te manshle ado shastin don we hallo ado so hale ade nasha nele talana do talagaina hos ade ado kojo shenale ke da hat Western Agency je ado kodo an nashta ko ado ba hensen kodon hinat ani dikwishi de ni je hiki ko nikitingen da digin hiltahano do lelto kodon hinat anjino kotato do lelto kodo jo launch elkilna anish asaha jizingo do oto nilta nete kodo shik ye go tat do hata inosle ado kodo o ba hensen do lel ado hastrat ada kone tasata da nilo ihe.
Oh, yat edo, yeah, shik edo, shinna, shay Myron Lizer, yenishya. Comanche nishle, Twan, Bush's chin, do Comanche dasite, Asha dasanelli. It's so good to be with you here today. I hear a lot of talk about economic development, and I believe that's my forte, and I see a golden horizon for the great Navajo Nation. When people are talking about it, I'm actually doing it, opening up a fourth Ace Hardware in Shiprock, New Mexico. So we look for more development under Lizer presidential leadership, and so I'm just happy to be here along with my cohorts, and I tell you, you got the cream of the crop up here. Yeah, Allah, God bless you.
Shikedo shidene. Edahuis ade kon Nihinan Staholonde, Nedo Sai, Nahanoya, in Hitcheba Hinsen, Ado Kodoshan and Ado Kodo, Keslata, this is Kohoton Nisha Ninigida Siba Hehasen. A Heha Dajino Bago Kon, the Nebenas Ko Nastor Kai Nihinan Shidashe. Ado Shady Tom Chi the Shijane, Hashkan had Zohon Slow. Das Che the Shija, Na Kaidene, the Shichedo, Tohe Glini the Shinale. Le Tahilin the Hojanido Wuhia, the Babagagishit is Shimado Shija, Shiche, Shimasanda, Ado Belgana catching hitch had a zida. Ebets Ade, Yot, Inatis, Edo, Nihinalso that del Zendon had a job, Pago, Bikekoe, Ade in Dilde. Ado Shaul Tado, Natino, Ashklana, no Sesse, Quae is Tradi, not hard as it's Ashidel. Eben Naban Saskezo, Dosata. Shamajin Nation, Yada, Old Hat Akiedo, Ido Dinasa, Instra, Namado Les, Hard that or Shikon in that, Nila, a go, Hota Hehe.
Biga. Yate, Tuba City. Koro Yate and Kidadeshni. Tana Sanin Shlo, Tabahabashin. Shiche, Twitch in it and Liros, Nalena, Kaden Ned, and then what are in Hanioko. And I am also too from Rock Point, Arizona. Ade Shikesha, the hello. See. Oko, Adole, Luke Ahantel, Ganaro. You know, we are at a fundamental time. Do we want to go backwards or do we want to go forward? That is what we're going to look for. The United States of America is watching us. We have economic sovereignty. That is what I'm proposing. We are the largest Native American tribe in the United States. It is time to make this transition.
Joyate. My name's Arvin Trujillo. Chase and Sakai in Schlin. But on here, Bashichin, Hashin Tashichedo, Nakaidene, Dashanala. Shigane Bati let the Fruitland, New Mexico, the Shigan. And I've been married for 43 years. I have my wife here, my 3 kids here. And I think everybody here is looking for stability. They're looking for service delivery. I bring 40 years of experience looking at organizations, leading organizations, including the Division of Natural Resources and major companies and nonprofits. That's what I bring. When you look at leadership here, that's one aspect. The other aspect you got to look at is management. You got 18 divisions, 5,000 employees. How are you going to lead those people? So thank you very much. My name is Arvin Trujillo.
All right, give a round of applause for all the candidates. 12 came out here to Tuba City to try to earn your vote. Just a reminder, you guys have 2 minutes. You'll hear the blink, the flag will go off. If that flag goes off and you're still talking, then the microphone will go off as well. We're gonna keep with the current position. We're gonna go clockwise, starting with you, candidate Johnny Russell. The first question, what is your position on uranium hauling across Navajo?
Can you repeat the question again, sir?
Yes, and just also, if anybody needs clarification on these questions, Duran Begay, the chapter manager, will be over there to kind of clarify these questions. But the question again is, what is your position on uranium hauling across Navajo?
Okay. The uranium hauling, it's so not gay. I guess it to ya teta. To job ikidas tikda. Ako hold like so nuclear waste of 550 gunde de gay here. And you know Tida Galonia, no Bedast, Odo, Jono Bedast, Uncle to Adaha Cheetah. They hold Monmouth Valley, under the Roy, 8 and old not, Anna Bedast here. I don't like Chidi Kahil, what no by a Tinakis, the Atlantis, Zinata, Akko there's no radioactive, no, this is, Leo, this is so, Tida, I guess to Johnny Old Gator. Akondia ko hashita nikinat ani lada sling ni aida dos los ashada ligado dos ashada linkta tlak kaya hadas ano ako o I guess o balagana at kin do on the kepa de lako abo lihin adan kitya de yehobi yen kinat ani ye landa isle do zone kitahal da den nikye don't done kitty up a day ends on late Sagaho Sunday up a hashita abe on Sida case of yen does a con Kehen Hona so Tanan house na would be out abe kitch at this yeah.
Yeah. All right. Candidate Debinez Manuel, your question is jobs. We need more jobs in our communities, and in order to do this, how can you help small businesses and the Division of Economic Development bring in businesses and create jobs?
There's a lot of opportunities to create initiatives and campaigns focusing on specific populations. One is for women, small business owners. Another one is for our youth. Finding these programs that fit those target age groups based on experience, understanding of business, and their seasoned experience. So if you bring a young adult and you want to teach them the business concepts, there's some basic framework they can learn, and then you can introduce them to small partnerships with different companies. When time goes on and you have a woman who is a seasoned professional, like our president here, she has her windshield company here in Tuba City. She's a strong, seasoned professional. Connecting her and mentoring younger people is really critical. There's a lot of us out here who know how to operate nonprofits, create LLCs, and make sure that we keep dollars within the nation. But that's another thing we have to do. We have to learn how to spend our money in the nation and instead of taking it off to border towns, making sure that dollar stays in. But through mentoring programs between women and girls is really a powerful concept. You look at men, veterans, working with younger people, younger men. That's not only just business practice, that's sound life skills building for our young people. And I think when we look at ways we can connect generations, that's one powerful way to do it. Another way is to also teach our small business skill sets of financials. Financials and balancing, looking at revenues and your expenses are really critical. Knowing what's coming in, knowing what's going out, and how do you balance that. Those are basic skill sets that we all need. We need it in our homes, we need it in our communities, we need it in our chapters. So many times we have positions that are open for treasurer at chapters, but there's no seat, there's a vacancy, and we've got to be able to fill those seats. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Candidate Frank Diaz Jr., your question is, what is your vision for real government reform within the Navajo Nation?
Outstanding question. I've attended a couple of reform presentations, the move towards a constitution. And the issue requires a little bit more work. They laid out what they would envision on the Blue Book, the 24 chapters. They visited each one and they broke them out in detail. And when you break them out and you look at them, they're talking about electing more people, adding an additional house. And so I think that it will become more burdensome. We're going to become more bureaucratic. And so the best approach would be to fix what we have today, the structure that's in place right now, and to continue to move forward the way that we are. We need to go and assist our chapter officials and the organizations that are in place today. We have two groups of chapter officials. We have the structure that we have in place. Then we also have the 5 management system. And to move in that direction, I think will require all of us to stand up. Leadership, as it was mentioned earlier, starts from the house. So when we start teaching our children, we start teaching the people at the chapter level on how our government will work, then I think that it'll start to come together. Then once that happens, it'll filter all the way up to the tribal council. The tribal council then will, in respect to the speaker, and that group will continue to move the initiatives forward from that standpoint. Once those initiatives are put together by the tribal council, the legislative branch, then it will come across to the president, where I would sign the agreement, and then we will continue to reform the government from that standpoint. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, candidate Dr. Jordan Begay, your question is, what are your thoughts on working cooperatively with judicial and legislative branches?
Yeah, nana shike di na adikidigi di nahot ahi ado bespa sa anipil has agi legislative branch a shin nizonago hilna nadnisko nizone hala gatit ahigi ade ne dinaya aditilo the cooperation, the working cooperation between the legislative branch and the judicial branch is important for the operations of our current government. As the previous question was just stated, what are we looking at as far as government reform? Right now, we're functioning under a 3-branch government. We know that we have challenges. And going back to government reform, going back to you as the Diné people, our tribal members, and having that conversation and ensuring that you provide feedback on how you want your next government to be. This 3-branch government was given to us by the federal government. Chapters Washington we know we are struggling for water, infrastructure, electricity. And even here in Western Agency, we have a lot of our families, they're still having to maneuver through the complex issues of Bennett Freeze and the Hopi land relocation. Being a descendant of a family that was relocated from Sand Springs, I understand the challenges that our people still continue to face today. We know the closing of the Navajo Hopi relocation really affects our people.
Yeah. Thank you. Candidate Dr. Boo Nygren, your question is, what failures within the Navajo Nation government frustrate you personally the most, and how would you fix those frustrations? It's random.
All right, Le Bansen case, not answer her case, hate O Bansen case, the never Washington, yat eo hahidol, Rosto Hashit o Hajot, the never banna and Nestolation. Nenegi, shake a Bansis case, Tana Hayadan, Jono, it's getting the deal, Nesto Hajot, can the Hasi, Tando, Yanik, Hahoyat, eo Haldol, no, ha, she Nahash and Ayo, but in the hunt, and not only Z, a hot in the Shoro Bansis case, a Jotago, but Sata Hasto, say. Gold the Jibit has Behis Ani, but the Haslo been Argent the Anish, Aralto Behis Ani, the Hayazogi, Eto Aja hot on John the Anish to late, Aral hot the Nebanant Abel has Aja, Eto, Ehot Otho on the Anish, Anehi to Letric at a Shin legend, the Shnizar Hojan, not this, such the Aja Shohos Nitolit, and Negido Becht Eda, Joanit, and a Joach na Anisho Behis Ani, and Hata Zinigi, Pain Dale Nisho Eyat, Etil Apahazinia, Hela the Nebanant, hela ho ato hela bke hat introdikat at and the net chehegi di te sniltit on de snistodit o de nen jono panna hash aro lehta no at and da okha jo ade jagaho e to yo del zinda jo di ben di shoden khatin do ba ti te mil hone la de net ta isnile to del zinda kha ishe binina khot e ai yeset de net ai nilgi tol zino e bi gato le dikat heshinat ani nana slingi ben hat abke ajut o e do na hon taun jono e das do lifen so ban sis kes e ayon na shil nahle e hot o shi jo nire be kha zi heshi beke nada do nionat ani nana gait o ni di to sa na hat lo to ni di to ha shi shohodni hat o ni e bini asate te nebanant abin ya ba I ni job case so do bin yet ne I aha be case so yat etoleten so man case thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Andrew Curley, your question is, how will your administration protect Navajo livestock owners, grazing permittees, and traditional ranching families from theft, disputes, overregulation, outside interference, and loss of grazing rights?
Thank you. That question actually speaks to number one issue on my platform, land reform. This is not something that exists just among this administration, among these candidates, but it's an issue that has been affecting the Navajo Nation since the 1930s. We have inherited a grazing regime, a scientific grazing management that doesn't comport, that doesn't fit Dene way of life and thinking, and the way that we've evolved over the years. You know, we're not the same people from the 1930s, but those laws have been the same. And what I would do to protect livestock owners, to protect people and their land, is to fundamentally go out there and identify where people's home sites are, where people live. We want to invest in research. We want to identify where people have traditional lands, and emphasize oral histories, learn where sacred sites are. We want to prevent certain places from being exploited, from uranium mining, from other kinds of mining that this administration has promoted. So fundamentally what I think we should do is really reinvest in redoing our land laws, our laws that will make it easier to get a business site lease, get easier to get a home site lease. These things are critical for the survival and the future of the Navajo Nation, and we have not addressed that yet as a nation and as a people. And this is something that is going to extend beyond any of us here. It's for the next 100 years. We've been living with this grazing regime for 100 years. We need to change it for the next 100 years of Dene people.
Yeah, thank you. Candidate Justin Jones, your question. What is your plan to make casino revenue, natural resource profit, leases, taxes, and outside corporate payments actually benefit the people instead of being absorbed by Windrock?
You repeat the question again?
It's a long one. Let's go ahead and read that over. What is your plan to make casino revenue, natural resource profit, leases, taxes, and outside corporate payments actually benefit the people instead of being absorbed in Windrock?
First of all, I believe in local empowerment, local government. And I believe that the majority of the revenue that we bring in, we're going to have to give it only to the local governments. For example, right here, Tuba City. Your Tuba City local government is based upon your own ordinances, your own taxations, and everything that you do is local here. Now, one of the things that we have to fix is the fact that any taxations that we do, anything that is here, it has to stay here. For example, Tuba City, why are you paying 18% to the Navajo Nation? You cannot do that. So the whole entire scheme of things has to be based upon businesses and other structures for the local people. There's some questions that has been asked, and it's pertinent here about small businesses. Everything is hinging upon small businesses as well. So all that has to be here. Number two, we have to get away from this idea about Khat ida na san ha kiedo ida bite ol khazot eya the noban si kieskat. It seems like that's our only solution. Hateda stwida anele. Honesty, let's go beyond that and make some money another way. Jo e hot ega, a hot ago e yat e, jo hot under the de peso nante, higi e a quenante ho endol, nil quote chapter in Hitler's under. Aro title 26, a quebe on Nishikido. Let's give the power back to the chapters. And then we cannot continue to cater to the big corporations. That needs to end.
Yeah. All right. So we had an issue with sound. I think we got that squared away. You guys good now? All right, Biga. All right, candidate Crystalline Curley, your question. As president, how will you stay informed on current events on the Navajo Nation and the outside world?
Kid, how do you stay up with current events? That's my everyday job. So I'm not waiting to be the president. My job is already doing that today as a speaker, protecting our sovereignty. Do kodon he masana don he che ajita inishiki do kodon halchina ulta that eheki oh you hot there are many threats right now in this administration with the federal government, with our state governments, and with the outside threats. You have to be able to articulate a lot of the laws that are impacting us. We see many of the executive orders that are already coming. You see the threats that are going against our sovereignty, such as ICE. You have the voting rights that we have to protect. And we also have to make sure that we look at the threats of Johnson O'Malley funds. It goes across the boards. However, we have to make sure that each of the 13 articles within our treaty is protected. And again, it's not me waiting to be the president. I'm already doing that as a speaker. So there's already that established relationship that I do have right now, currently, with the state government, with the federal government, many of our leaders, many nonprofits, grassroots organizations. So it's always not. One thing to keep in mind as a president is that you don't know all of the answers. You have to be able to work with many of the chapters, the nonprofits, the grassroots, and many of the issues to bring forth to protect our nation.
Yeah, thank you. Candidate Myron Leiser, your question is, what will you do to stop corruption, favoritism, and misuse of Navajo Nation funds?
Presidential. Oh, yeah, great question. Actually, I wanted to answer all of these other questions too, but don't have enough time. Well, really, all it boils down to is just, who we are as elected leaders. People campaign on various character and integrity, and we should maintain that to the highest levels in our offices. As vice president, that's what I did, and as president, I will do the same and hold everybody accountable. The corruption piece, how do you weed out unsavories? You just have to hold them accountable. There has to be an example. If somebody does something wrong, then you got to hold them accountable and prosecute. Or you have to make an example out of them. And so, yeah, working for the Navajo Nation, I know it's hard, it's tough. We got so many people that have checked out, and they're just sitting there receiving a paycheck. I think if you treat our government like a business, that you'll be able to weed out those people. I won't call them unsavory, but I'll call them unproductive. And so we need to have better human resource implementation and policies. So as a business, we have to update our policy and our handbook constantly, because the only thing that stays the same in business is change. So running a Navajo Nation government, I think you could run it the same way as a business, and I would do so, hold people to the highest accountable integrity, transparency and accountability. And I think that's just the way to run our Navajo Nation's business, which is the government. Sometimes government and business don't belong in the same sentence, like water and oil. But somehow we need to advance our nation to be everything that we can be. We are the great Navajo Nation. We're the largest tribe. And right now the federal government deems Navajo as unstable. We need to correct that. And we need to find a way to work together. And that's who I am, working together. Yeah, Allah. Oh.
Okay. Candidate Tom Chi, your question is, and we've been pulling these questions out randomly, but this one might be a little dear to my heart. The Western Navajo Fair is operated by the Tuba City chapter and runs on revenue generated from ticketing, sales, and vendors, etc. The other fairs, such as Winter Rock and Shiprock, get money from the nation. How can we, which is the Western Navajo Fair, or any entity on the Western Tribe, receive funding from Winter Rock?
Thank you. I didn't identify a let Jean Bana al Deco. Hate a peso. Hadin the dot as Ado hate out Chido in Sigi Joy Benite Kit. Belgana Ketchahas City open Stra Udazan Kishodeshla. When it comes to fair generating income or funds for your fairs and other community or annual activities, I think we have to see the importance of it. It represents culture, it represents language, it represents who we are as people. And so one of those things is I have sat through the 23rd Council debating if we should finance and pay for these fairs and parades on a yearly basis. If I look at it from retaining and recognizing as part of a bigger tourism package for our nation, I know there's an investment in how we run our culture, the worldview that other people have. I think it should be well financed, well presented in the coming years. If we are too shabby with our presentation of who we are as Navajo people, we're not going to go very far. So I deeply appreciate the efforts that communities put into putting on a really good fair, rodeo. The scenery of it is so important. People are in love with Native American language, culture, and our land around the world. We must make it a bigger issue and then present it to the world. I think in time, that investment will be restored in a very short time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Alexander Chambers, you ready? All right. Your question is, the Navajo Nation recently purchased a residential substance use treatment center in Phoenix, Arizona. What will be your plan to put these types of facilities right here on Navajo where our local community members can utilize their services instead of having to travel to Phoenix?
Yeah, so, that type of investment, any type of real estate development, we have surface rights and we have mineral rights. But if we make these kind of investments through the city, border towns, and then here on the Navajo Nation, that's going to generate wealth. And that's also going to take us in a direction of rehabilitation for these individuals. But the only way that's going to happen is if we embrace a new economic order, a new beginning that's going to take us in that direction. Oba yeltke do ob nada oba yeltko o what's out so we have to put our money where our mouth is and actually do it. Obey del zido. If we question what we do, that's not going to get us anywhere. So these type of investments, I think it's good. Because if we can own more land, more space out of the Netka, that's power. Economic opportunity, that's where we're going to have to position the Navajo Nation. We have to take this new order. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the only way. Without Native America, we don't follow them. They're going to follow us. And we have to draw that line in the sand. We have to make that very clear that under the office of the president, that is the new economic order for all Native American nations. And we have to set that tone for everybody. What that?
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Emily. How are you doing? Well, you know what? You came in, and guess what? You get the next question. All right. So your question, candidate Emily Ellison, is what are the 3 specific measurable goals you promised to complete within your first term, and how can we, the people, verify the progress?
Sorry for my tardiness. I'm in the middle of Little League season, and my son's team made it to the semifinals, and they're playing right now. So hopefully they will beat his coach's team. So that's the opponent. It's always wonderful to come to Tuba City. It's a wonderful drive from Gallup. We were thinking we were going to be early. We forgot about time change in Arizona. So thank you for bringing me into the question so quickly. I just want to add that this is my 3rd time running for Navajo Nation president. And the platform that I put out in 2018 has largely remained unresolved. Those issues remain the same. As a Navajo people, it comes down to how our government functions. It's about the programs. We talk about sovereignty. Guess what? 60% of our funding comes from the federal government. An additional 10 to 15, 20% comes from the state government, okay? Do we have land rights? Do we have mineral rights? No, we don't. That belongs to the Interior Department. We don't have title to the land still, so we're still gonna be circling around about development. Measurable goals. I will fight so that you can have a title to your land. I will fight so that when we're talking about water rights, subsurface water rights with the BIA, I will be your advocate to say that belongs to us even before you guys came. That's what it means to be Navajo. That's what it means to be from here. In terms of a lot of the funding that we have, we're just wasting it. There's so much going to administrative costs that doesn't do anything for us. So, I will make sure that funding that we get is actually put to services. Thank you.
All right, yeah. Candidate Arvin Trujillo, your question is, Navajo Nation chapters only have 2 staff members except for a few. Would it be effective if chapters could get additional personnel to assist with chapter priorities, and where would that funding come from?
Thank you for that question. Chapters are always the second thought at the end of the day. As we look at chapters, those are the center entities for our Navajo Nation. And I think we do need to get that support to our chapters. Because again, not only are we looking at programs and initiatives at the chapter level, we can get more people there so that we can get our kids back to the chapters. They have no reason to go to the chapters, and there is no reason to become involved in that. I used to be doing that when I was a kid. I used to go to the chapter house because they had activities. They had leather making, they had home economics, they had those kind of programs that were going on back then. We need to return to that, but we need to have the capacity to do that. And the chapters need the capacity in order to really achieve their budgetary as well as their service delivery at that level. Right now you have a chapter manager or chapter coordinator who is running around like a chicken with their heads off, trying to do everything for everybody. How can we begin to develop that, and how can we provide support for our chapters to do that? Title 26 was mentioned. We need something that would help center that. There are chapters that are doing that right now. How do we begin to do that even better? Because again, we need that support at that level, because it's at that level that they know what your issues are. They understand what you're looking for. They know what those areas that need to be attacked or developed within your particular regions. So again, I do think we need to look at increasing that capacity building. Thank you.
All right. And that is round one. And we're going to dive right into round two. Candidates, you ready to go a second round? Tuba City, you guys ready to go a second round? And just to let you know, we're streaming to hundreds across the Navajo Nation. People watching as far as, I don't know, it looks like people from other countries, other states are definitely tuning in right now. So candidates, you guys have the platform. Johnny Russell Jr., your question is, how will your administration support Navajo veterans, including housing, healthcare, PTSD treatment, transportation, employment, family support, and benefits assistance?
Ja, deze siselaatso only ha atent de ne selaatso dan leni ado yosha yada tkes de chetlia ba geen simbena do shikado chatadona ani das len don ka cheta dan ne ade kadahas thani don ka cheta ado selaatso ba rande edo don ka cheta nal so asasanaji zoto na sendeliti siro not on nahodel not on leg a kid and nanta colanta nahodel nitano o calate ado ka cheta tashetlinli a co shesh last so by I guess shalelia benadishni shana Korean war nas ba that's not at the not deep enough at the dish cheater hodlo a co eba house na Hashitado ikai cheater shana edo agent origina I tadiyado che zain odo Atlanta Navajo National so chain so to Bakai cheater. Hashita a crochet on this case outpatient. I carry 5 different agencies on does Anshin June Adon Young Lake Salt Lake do Denver do Abercrombie caught Ashi could anke kayat Bada Helga I don't lay last so that be had the Chido Anle Balagana Ben Yada Halgado could Nahakaho base of Bustin de la Conda na dado hajidado na bana harabado linko bin sikke jondo lis ado kid balado tin bagan hado lis homesite lis body schlicht gelandborn schlia a kohta by salat so ba shin de do shil junior a kha
Oh, yeah. Candidate Debbie Nez Manuel. You doing good? How was the soup? Was it good? Delicious, absolutely delicious. Well, your question is, should you become president, how do you see the future of the Navajo Nation?
Testing. I see the future of Navajo Nation where we actually do what we say. When we say that we're going to take care of our elders. There's a difference between people who are baby seniors and those that are elderly. Those people who are home by themselves, who are isolated, who don't have nutrition, who don't have social interaction with their children or family members or even neighbors. I heard yesterday when I was over at the public hearing how many of our elderly homes are being vandalized, how many opportunities there are where we can fill vacancies for police officers. We can't be a vibrant nation without safety at home with our elders, without safety in our communities. We need to be a drug-free community because right now, many of our people are fearing for everything that they have. Things that our parents leave us as legacy items get to the pawn shop or get sold for $50 just for a quick 6-pack or drugs. We need safety for our elders. But we also need safety for our little ones. All of the young students that are in here, the children that are here, this election belongs to you. It's not for any of us up here, no matter how it's portrayed to you. This is for you because you're the youngest people. Those born in the 1980s have the chance to cast their ballot real soon here. It's for them. For anyone here to believe that we're going to take their resources from them, we're going to take all of their livelihood from them, that is really poor leadership. We need to stop doing that. We also need to be very, very generous to our veterans for the sacrifices that they gave, for everything that we gave. They shouldn't be used as pawns in our elections. We should be honoring and respecting those individuals.
Ahead. Candidate Frank Diaz Jr., your question. Do you believe Navajo land, home site, and grazing systems are currently functioning efficiently for Navajo people? And if not, what specific reform would you make?
The system that's in place right now was brought to us from the federal government, and they imposed it upon us. We have the 161, 167, CFR 161, 167, the different processes that they imposed upon us. And so across Indian country, they've made sure that they laid out the rules, requirements, and things that we have to abide by to use the land. And so when it comes to Navajo Nation, then we've got that process as well. And so whatever was imposed upon us, they're making sure that we abide by it. Then they pull that back and they decide that now's the time to reform the process. And so that's what they're working on right now. And you look at NPL, a lot of our relatives have not received their grazing permits back. And they've made it really difficult for them. And so you see how they're being hindered and the process that they're required to follow. And so we would take a look at that, we would revise that, and ensure that the Native people, Navajo people, our grazing permits, our relatives, our elders receive the justice that they deserve. And so that is what we were talking about here. And the land that they have is their mother and their fathers, the grazing permits that have been passed on. And so those are the different areas that we would take a look at. We would continue to forge forward to ensure that we receive the benefits that we're supposed to receive and revise the grazing permittees, we'll revise the process so that it benefits our relatives. Thank you very much. Frank Diaz Jr., experience, leadership, stability.
Oh, yeah. Candidate Dr. Jordan Begay, your question. What industries do you believe offer the greatest economic potential for the Navajo Nation over the next decade?
I think the areas that the Navajo Nation would really capitalize as far as economic development would be ensuring that we look at the global competition, the need across the globe. Again, we have to think outside the box and stop thinking locally and what's affecting the Navajo Nation. How can we take advantage of the global economy? How are we going to be able to utilize the funding, the money that's out there, and bring it home? We have enterprises here on Navajo that are supposed to be revenue generating, but oftentimes our own people are using those services, such as our Navajo Gaming Enterprise. We don't have a footprint in big cities like Las Vegas, in big cities such as in Florida. Another enterprise is the Navajo Arts and Craft Enterprise. Those items, we still continue to tailor it to our Navajo people. But in reality, we have to think about the global market. How are we going to bring money from the outside? The next biggest thing is tourism. We got to improve our tourism infrastructure. On my candidacy, I was able to publish a 100-day plan. And this 100-day plan has been out since I announced my candidacy. And number 12, tourism optimization. We have to fix our Navajo tribal parks to make sure they're marketable to the millions of people who are coming through Navajo. Look at those big buses that go to Antelope Canyon. We're missing a lot of money. We have limited hotels. We have limited food options. I was sitting at Amigo Restaurant in Kayenta the other day, which is owned by a Navajo entrepreneur. I sat next to a couple from Germany, and they said, wow, you guys have beautiful land, but there's nothing here. And that's what I think the Navajo Nation really needs to capitalize on tourism. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Candidate Dr. Boo Nygren. All right, your question. What are your thoughts, ideas, in working with local stakeholders to bring in renewable energy such as wind and solar farms to the Navajo Nation?
One of the things, the missions that we've been working on over the past several years is like a good location would be in the Four Corners region. I know we're currently working with NTUA to try to start a first of its kind solar manufacturing facility out there. So that's one of the phases that we want to continue to support and promote in that area in the Four Corners region. And I know that there's different solar projects that have been proposed over the past several years. But again, it really takes a lot of collaboration and making sure that there's federal grants and dollars that are out there so that we can make these projects feasible, because a lot of times and some of these people, they want to get these allocated right away, and sometimes we have huge battles on the cost or the acres of making something happen. And one of the latest examples is just little arguments about what the acre per foot should be. But again, no one's thinking about the thousands of jobs, the construction jobs, the opportunities to bring solar to a region. Like, good example right now, we're working on Round Rock. Round Rock is going to be destined to do enough power. I think it's 40 megawatts that's going to bring to Round Rock, because I know Red Mesa got finished as well a couple of years ago. So different avenues of solar that we can continue to develop. And as mentioned earlier, one of the other things I want to talk about too is when it comes to our veterans. When it came to our veterans, when I first came in, it was normal to build 3 homes every 4 years. Over the past 4 years, we're going to do 110 homes plus. And then we're going to make sure that last year alone was the most amount of benefits ever released to our veterans. And that's the first time we set up clinics with Kayenta, Tuba City, and Chinle to work with those clinics to have agreements so that they can get some primary care. And we've got talking circles for our veterans. So again, the need is still there, because there's still hundreds of homes that are still needed across Navajo.
All right, Keheb. Candidate Andrew Curley. All right. Through your presidency and administration, what is your vision for the future of the Navajo Nation?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Mic check. All right. Through your presidency and administration, what is your vision for the future of the Navajo Nation?
That is an excellent question, and that is the basis of my platform. Like I mentioned before, number one is we really want to redo our land laws. It's imperative. The word is imperative. It's imperative that we work on that. Every single facet of our lives depend on making our land work for us. Right? We're talking about business site leases. We're talking about industry. We're talking about home site leases. All of this stuff requires clarity with land, and we haven't addressed that. It's a hard topic to take on. I was walking around the Gallup flea market, and I mentioned this as the number one issue that I wanted to address. Somebody turned away right away because they felt threatened by it. It's an ingrained sense of fear and identity somewhat with these grazing permits, but we really need to address those. We have infighting between families. Many of you know this. We need to tackle that head on as a government. We can't continue to ignore it and let those problems perpetuate, because think about that. A couple generations from now, who's going to have the rights to those permits? How are we going to adjudicate those identities and that linkage to those permittees? Fundamentally, we need to address this now before it's too late. So that's the number one thing, is to make our land work for us. We want to encourage businesses that people are already doing. Cooperatives for jewelers, cooperatives for rug weavers. We want to look at sustainable agriculture. Really let the land work for us again, not use it as a source of exploitation. That is my vision for the Navajo Nation. I know that the de facto approach to development has been bring in big industry. bring in these big projects. You always see they fail. They fail because of petty corruption between the developers and our tribal officials. It happens almost every single time. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody here, it just is in part of our government. So we need to address that and really invest in our people and not in these outside industries.
Okay. Thank you. Candidate Justin Jones, your question. What are your thoughts on hiring effective division directors and getting away from hiring who you know?
One of the primary aspects of my campaign and my plan is and it doesn't just only go for division directors, it goes for program managers as well. We need an administration and a staff that does not owe political favors to others. And we do not need people that have political debt that they got to pay for. The only way that's going to happen is if you have a new administration and if you have a new staff. Now, we cannot continue to hire people that are politically affiliated to you because they made fry bread for you during the campaign. The qualifications is very simple. Ako DJ de adet agit algo de nebich nahot egi de be tho chij, the fundamental of life. At the end of sped hosenda. Ako kododa kadesho hey Justin Jones nandish nishidini do sai ben abedish kiss. Did the best chiho sha khajil ipamato benzeno? That's a fundamental question. Na kikuna that dedish jahashba Hansen. Nsiteko and ishba Hansen. Khait as it old nishti. Those are the qualifications that I'm looking for, not to say and demean that a PhD, a master's, or a bachelor's degree,
Again. Candidate Crystal and Curley, your question. What hard decisions are you willing to make that may upset powerful people, but will genuinely help the Navajo people long term?
Bringing our people, or bringing our children home. Jokodon hahastuidon hizani da nint yego in kodon handi dal nhayan tiketole neteto hot eda. We are not inviting our kids back home. We are not inviting our children back home. You know, many of us, or I'm only speaking here from experience. You're too young. Your degrees don't matter. You don't belong here. You don't need a home site. Land disputes. And a lot of these issues we're dealing with, especially if we're within our ages of younger people. You know, we need to talk about that generation gap between how do we bring our people back home, how do we bring our children back home. Yes, it's a tough subject because many of our times that they went to live in many of those metropolitan areas. And a lot of the times they're embarrassed of the Navajo people or they're embarrassed of our nation because they don't feel welcome, they don't feel appreciated. And there's also that topic about working families. Many of us that have jobs, many of us that have families to feed. However, the programs and the resources are not geared towards that population. A lot of the times, those are actually the forgotten people as well. it will be a controversial issue because no one talks about it. No one brings issues about how to bring our people home. But we should be able to make a permanent homeland. And that's my vision, and that is part of the solution. I think that we can bring back our people home.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Candidate Myron Leiser, your question. What do you believe is the greatest challenge facing the Navajo Nation today, and why?
Thank you for the question. I think the greatest challenge facing our nation right now is the world affairs. There's opportunity in all that's happening right now as we speak. What happens globally in a post-pandemic world, I believe, needs to be taken advantage of by our nation and by Indian country. I've been on national stages where I've spoke that now is the time the Indian country should arise. We are the last frontier. When Walmart can't even find a new place to build a new store or a new distribution center, Indian country. You know, there is a company that has taken advantage, I shouldn't say advantage, but has leveraged the tribal sovereignty, which is Tesla. In New Mexico, there is a state law on the books that prohibits car manufacturers from selling directly to the public. And yet, here comes Tesla, here comes Elon, and they have and are selling out of Nambe Pueblo and Santa Ana Pueblo, selling their vehicles. Again, our sovereignty can be leveraged with the right partners in this global time when AI and data centers is dominating the discussions. Who's thinking about energy and bringing energy from Indian country? We have the land, we have the resources. I believe this federal government, with virtue of all of the recent developments in the EOs right now, are saying everything that every past tribal leader has wanted a president to say. Indian country just doesn't like it coming from this president. But I believe if we're going to advance and we're going to bring our young ones home, I love her answer, bringing our young ones home, our young professionals, we need jobs, we need homes, we need everything that they're looking for that they can't find right now on our nation. And under a Leiser administration, we will pull back all the stops on everything that has hindered us in doing this. I believe that our best days and our best times are in front of us.
Oh, yeah. Candidate Tom Chi. Now, this one's a long one. All right. How will your administration push back against unnecessary federal restrictions, delays, and outside control while still protecting Navajo sovereignty and trust responsibilities?
Thank you. We should negotiate from our strength, which is our language, our culture, and our land base. We are a sovereign nation, with the language being the cornerstone. When we lose our language, we have basically lost our Navajo civilization. And there we become a sitting duck for other people to think and make us behave in a way that's not culturally appropriate anymore. Nihike yahagi bitsado nhinahat hallo, nihisodazin hallo, nihidak bitsado tadatin da hallo, sendadet ahi hanebedati dat nihikeya bitsado, nihikeya to bahwil yago nikel edon hizadan hitsabatlinte doyos, olye ajiltra. Ejiltha olio edo belgana kachiyajilthigo olyeda. Ejiltha olio eha ishin hazachi ben tsitsikisto ben hoja be sozdel zendo besit jiden zinon jaga olye ajiltha. Kodi kabelgana kunne nikisno. Di hata shi the Bebenal Sos, Washington ato haleta, Navajo tribal government ato haleta, nihikein hidenan himasan and hicheda din need. Dinats illet equa, dingots stanilibi yikeha tido let. You know, our elders have mentioned this before the creation of U.S. government, Navajo Nation government, that said, this is our land. It's given to us by our gods. This is our sovereign homeland. And so with that kind of thinking, we have ways to maneuver and legally challenge what federal government, state government propose to us. So, thank you.
Yeah, Tom Chi, thank you. Senator Chambers, here's your question, and it's a long one. Do you believe too many unnecessary meetings, planning sessions, workshops, conferences, and council discussions are wasting Navajo Nation time and money without producing real results for our people?
You know, in the executive branch, it tells you what to do, execute, move. That's all we need to do. You know, we have to move this nation. We have to move it in a direction, in a fast pace. You know, what more talking do we have to do? You know, what more do we have to say? What we need to do. So all we have to do is move and get with it. Because that at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It is, let's do away with the meetings. You know, we've been overstudied. We have been overlooked. The United States government says we are the poorest nation in Native American tribes. So it is time that we move and just move as much as we can to get this nation going.
Yeah. Emily Ellison, do we know the results of the game? Not yet. We'll find out. 6-1? Oh, going in third inning. Okay, your question is, what is your administration going to do about BIA remaining on land that can be used for community and economic development?
BIA remaining on land. Here's one of the most important facts. Our government is ineffective. Our government cannot spend $1 billion, much less $6 billion. Has that not been shown in the last 4 years? Yes, it has not. Okay, so we have a 3-branch government. Judicial, they're not doing their job. They're too busy being political. The last Chief Justice, how many opinions did she write in 3-4 years? 0. Okay? If they're not moving those court cases, they're not moving those probate cases, nothing's getting addressed, nothing's getting resolved. You've got all this funding from the federal government, it's bleeding money. No one is getting that money and processing it. They're too busy stuffing their pockets. They're too busy making these deals behind our backs, okay? They know they're not gonna go to jail. Some of these guys need to be sitting in jail, but they're not going to. What is the Navajo, what is the US government saying? US government says, you Indians, figure it out. That's what they're saying. They just want your minerals from the ground. Uranium, lithium, plutonium, because that's where the money in the market is. They mention Elon Musk, Tesla. They need lithium, so where do they go? They go to a third world country. Demolish that whole tribe? Who cares about their rights? Who cares about their culture? And they took it. What did Trump do to Venezuela? Killed their whole economy. Put a whole new government in. Come on, are we wanting to address the issues, or you still want to do the dog and pony show? If you want results, vote for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Arvin Trujillo, feeling good? It's a good evening, huh? All right, your question is, how would you assist Navajo Nation chapters so they can be more effective to their communities?
Looking at Navajo Nation chapters, I think what we got to do is really look at the government itself. One of my platform areas is really looking at how do we support our government to provide the necessary services to our communities. You know, how do we begin to work with that? How do we get our people just to answer the phone and say, hello, may I help you? You know, those simple things begin to catalyze a reaction. It begins to develop a sense of purpose. And so as we look at chapters and getting that necessary support, they need that support. And again, we need to build that. That's foundational. People are talking about veterans. They're talking about land. They're talking about public safety. Ladies and gentlemen, those are service deliveries. We've got to go back and actually deliver service. I handled meetings. I got managerial experience. We went into the meetings. We came out with objectives. This is what you're going to do. Here's who's going to do it. And here's when you're going to get it done by. The next meeting, we come back and we would find out, did you do it? If not, why? But you know, I didn't get after them. I came back first and I listened. I understood. Then I said, how can I help you? We built that continuity. We built that trust. They could look to me for support. And as your president, I would do that same thing. I would bring that institutional knowledge out, and we would find ways to begin to deliver service so that you can trust your government. That's where we start with foundational. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, and with that concludes round 2. We're going to go right into round 3. But I do want to thank the candidates. Being up here and getting these questions on the fly and answering on the fly is rather difficult. And I will show you why. We have 8 candidates from New Mexico, 8 candidates from Arizona. With that being said, let me just show you how tough it is. Angie, who has better Mexican food, Arizona or New Mexico?
New Mexico.
New Mexico? Is that right? All right, my dude right here. Who makes better fry bread, your girlfriend or your mom?
Definitely my mom.
Hey, all right. Well, those questions were too easy. Too easy. All right, round 3. Johnny Russell, you ready for round 3? Johnny Russell Jr., your question is, what part of the Navajo Nation government system do you believe are failing the people right now, and how would you fix that?
Is it failing?
What parts of the Navajo Nation government system do you believe are failing the people right now, and how would you fix that?
The Navajo Nation government, though, just a nahi is the 3 judicial branch. I got the Tahidan Lenido, Sagahatan Yasalansa Tahido, Sagaho Zando Skindat Nista, Don't that Nista Art Elche, Olchen Dachko, Olchen al Sos and they need, Aron al Sos and they need it, like the hot either. Across it, oh, Edo, Sajo, I don't need it, no, those steady nata. It's in the old state, so, let's see all this in Hanata, Ada. Hashit out an old skis. And here they, Nikita, Nikki Casey, digging Balchin, Tidale, No, she's hold there. A winished idiotishne. Asian not on a halt kinder, Satahi Queso. Hatida became Dale Jason, Asian winished in air, Doda, Nida. Aquashit, Anle that Sagahot, and then Adam Hahot, as Joy Alice Edo little, Alot Sagahot, beyond that bit, so that had no behot, behard, no by yet get. Aquashit out or did, Asian outside Hilata, China, not any kid. Ako Ada at Sahot, Ado, Anle Chapter House, and as Antol, and those skin day list out, Shake on Sessions Nashnia. Ako. But Nash Kai Bahashia, I have to take care of them, Yako, to Hara Donista, but Gajo, one between this Kato, Balchin, or Yando, Kalko. And this chain that is Argentine and Ado, EMT, those ear, the Nebakana school. A quarter, Shananisha, and all static and the still, additional dojo, Ajo, Ata by in this case, Ado, here.
Oh, yeah. Candidate Debbie Nez Manuel. Your question, with water being a serious concern, what is your plan for developing more windmills, earth dams, water storage systems, livestock's water access, drought protection projects, and sustainable infrastructure across Navajo Nation? Whew, long question.
Loaded one. That is a loaded question, but I'm going to take few seconds here. I want to especially thank someone very special in the room, our Senator Teresa Hatathali. Can you please stand? And let's give this lady a round of applause. She has served our state fearlessly, and this past year, this past legislative session, I was working with her along with Johnny, and we were working with some legislation talking about the importance of water. Yes, we are in a drought. Yes, we are working on water rights. Yes, we need to work with the federal level. Yes, we need to work with all of these tribes. It is very critical. But some of the infrastructure that we have right now that we're dealing, they're life-threatening, meaning that water pipes, even in Fort Defiance, this is the legislation we were working on, and the water pipe that's been installed since 1940 has carcinogens in it. And everybody in Window Rock and Fort Defiance are drinking water from there. There's so much intervention that we need. We need to find these dollars. We can't ignore that. When it comes to windmills, windmills feed our animals. That's where we get our food. At least most of us do. And so we need to connect our youth with those that know how to fix windmills. The other day I heard a presentation on how windmills need to be fixed. And we were listening to Western Agency Council's meeting. We sat there and we listened to the challenges they face. And the first response when asked, I need you to fix my windmill, go get me the number and let me know. Rather than saying, let me come over there, let's find a number and let's figure out where it's at. We have completely lost our opportunity to provide service for people. We need to start there to fix our windmills and to do better for our health. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Frank Diaz Jr., here's your question. How will you work with the Navajo Nation Department of Agriculture to address grazing permit holders that are not in favor of community and economic development?
As I mentioned earlier, we have CFR 167 that covers the entire Navajo Nation. You probably know this, the grazing permit holders. And as we move forward, we need to work together and determine how we're going to move forward. There's a moratorium right now that they put out. I'm talking about the Bureau of Reclamation, I'm talking about the BIA, I'm talking about the federal government. They've come and imposed this, and it's not working to our benefit. And so that's why we need to take a look at CFR 167 and determine how it will work for us. We need to dissect it, take every piece apart while it's in moratorium right now. We need to take a look at it. We need to determine, and we need your input. We need you to step up and tell us, you grazing permit holders, you ranchers, your farmers, we need your input to come up, step up, and determine how we're going to address this. And right now, we have an opportunity to do that since it's on hold. And so when we step up and determine how we'd like to review and modify this process so it benefits us, we're not just talking about the grazing permit holders for 167. The other one is CFR 161. That's for NPL. You know that. I know you know that. So when people are holding those permits, they're not getting them back. And the people that hold these permits, they think about it as I stated earlier, their mothers and their fathers. And so it's been taken away, it's been tied up, and that whole process needs to be reviewed. And then once it's reviewed, then the legislature, the tribal government needs to take a look at it, put their stamp on it, and I'll sign it once it's reviewed. Experience, leadership, stability. Frank Diaz Jr.
Okay. Dr. Jordan Begay, your question. How will you support Navajo farmers through water access, irrigation, equipment assistance, fencing grants, crop support, soil restoration, drought planning, and fair market opportunities?
Joe, thank you for the question. This is definitely an important question. As we know, part of my platform is really optimizing the business opportunity. So it's important to navigate this area as far as the government. Again, my administration wouldn't do this alone, working with the various departments, the Navajo Nation Agriculture Division Department, the Navajo Nation Land Department, and really looking at, again, the access to water. Well, part of my administration is also to do the water assessment, the availability. Because we've heard at the local level that NTUA is going to begin implementing reductions and being able to haul X amount of water, X amount of gallons of water. They're working to put a cap on that. So again, drinking water and then water for planting. We know we talked about windmills here. It costs thousands of dollars to repair windmills. So that would be the first thing that my administration would really look at with our current windmill infrastructure, the repairment, and working together as a community, again, to address that. Moving towards becoming more self-resilient and teaching our people the capacity to advocate for themselves, to work together to fix these windmills. Whether we know we have welders in our communities, how are they coming together, again, to address these parts? We know that some of our windmills are aged, and some of their parts are, they don't make them no more. So even not to be able to support produce creation, to be able to support economic development and produce. That's my approach. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Dr. Boo Nygren, your question. What is your plan to help Navajos that are struggling with substance abuse and homelessness?
Biga Yate, I want to say thank you. I think that's a really good question. And over the past several years and several decades, everyone tried to purchase a building or tried to do an effort. As you know, in 2023, there was a lot of fraudulent activities all over the Navajo Nation. Our people were being picked up and being taken advantage of, and they were scamming them in 2023, and we launched Operation Rainbow Bridge because of that. And then after that, last year, we purchased a building down in Phoenix, Arizona, 32,000 square feet, 3 stories. And as of 6 months ago, when we actually opened it, 200 of our own Navajo people graduated from that program. And then a month ago, we purchased transitional housing so that our people can actually get helped and healed. And those are some of the things that we worked on to make sure that we're helping our communities, helping our people heal, because every single day, there's moms, there's dads, there's relatives leaving their loved ones behind, and other family members have to take care of their families and their kids. Again, that work is not finished. One of the things that we want to do is finish the phase in Phoenix. So we got residential care, we got transitional housing, now we got to do detox, and now we got to build that on the Navajo Nation and then within the surrounding community. The goal, if I'm again able to serve as your president, would be 2,000 of our relatives every year to give them opportunity, a second, third, fourth, fifth chance to make something of themselves, because regardless of our education, regardless of where we come from, these are our relatives and we got to care for them, and it's about time that we set up systems like this. Are decades overdue, and we were able to purchase that type of building. And the other thing I also want to talk about, too, is when it comes to our farmers and our ranchers, we've been working with them. We've been deploying resources. We got miles of irrigation projects. We've fixed over 110 earthen dams all across the Navajo Nation. So, again, there's still more work to be done across the Navajo Nation.
Okay. Candidate Andrew Curley, your question. What is your plan to support our urban Navajo relatives living off the reservation who often do not get the same services as someone who resides on the Navajo Nation?
Yes, I think that our urban population is very important and a population that is under-considered in these conversations, in these debates. There are more than half of our population at this point live outside of the reservation. And that's since the year 2000, when we look at the decennial census. We really need to think about these people as part of our social fabric, as part of our political fabric. We ought to consider making life easier here with land uses, going back to the land plan. I have put forward the idea of mixed use housing. This is very important. Part of the problem with our government is that it's catered towards people 40 and above. We really need to hit that demographic of 20 to 40-year-olds. I know that they don't vote and we don't go out and we start giving them talking points, but it's critical for the future of the Navajo Nation that they have opportunity to live here and to work here. When I was working at Dene College, I had to travel 50 miles a day living in St. Michael's because there wasn't housing. That was in my early 20s. We need to allow people who want to work in the Navajo Nation, take jobs, have homes to rent with mixed-use housing. This is somebody nobody ever talks about. Mixed-use housing for people between 20 and 40 years old who want to rent, who want to work and want to fill the jobs that are needed here in the Navajo Nation. That is key to bringing people back. That is key, is to have a place for people to go. I've tried to do that. I've tried to do work and live in Kayenta. When I was doing my research, I had to go through informal networks in order to find housing. It's really hard to come back and find housing. That's the critical issue. And in my plan with land reform is to address places where we can do mixed-use housing.
Yeah, thank you. Candidate Justin Jones, your question. Do you support legalizing alcohol in the Navajo Nation? If so, what will be your plans?
Establishments that are under Navajo jurisdiction already sell alcohol. Go to the casinos. So that question is entirely, partly true. Number two, I do not support alcohol legalization on the Navajo Nation. What do I not support also? I do not support data centers either. I do not support it. I believe that the alcohol problem here on the Navajo Nation, one of the things that we have to do, we have to admit that we have a problem. We are in denial in so many ways. Go to any church, go to any NAC ceremony, go to any ceremony. Who prays about these things anymore? Nobody does. So we're in denial on that. Secondly, why build treatment centers off the res? Why not here? Why build elderly care homes off the res? Why do that? That is insane. The net aber konnte Kleto na de dort da schat netle. The net aber konnte Kleto yat en dort le hat netle. Ket hat da ad na de dort da le do hat nedan daga. Kwage ye bahas aye zestisen el bigetoye zestisen el bigetoye not at all dalti no ye sotilzen. Had da edoti neda. That should be here.
Yeah. Candidate Kristen Curley, your question. Tuba City Chapter Transfer Station currently serves the Western Agency Chapter, which with increasing operating expenses. How can your administration assist chapters to develop transfer stations and keep our communities clean?
It goes back to chapter support. And I think many of the misconception is, how does our chapter get our funding? When we shop here locally, here in Tuba City, here on the Navajo Nation, if we buy groceries, if we buy our necessities, everything that is tied back into, when we shop here, that's where our chapters benefit. meaning the percentages of our chapters set aside increases. No one talks about that issue of how do we support our chapters. That is shopping locally, so then our chapters get more investment. And another thing that not a lot of people, always goes back down to money, peso. We can't move without any type of funding proposals. And I think that it is where the missing key is with administrative services and Division of Community Development. You know, if you are, as a president, you have to make sure that that program, that division, is capable to provide resources and plans to the chapters. There's no support system to provide technical assistance, to do proposals, to do budgets, to do bidding, all of these plans, and I think it gets from the top level and how do we support those chapters. And then I know Tuba City is a certified chapter, they have their own taxing, but the main issue is if they want to go after external dollars, how can the central government support them to go after other dollars and creating that partnership? So really look at your chapter balances, but making sure that that money does come from the revenues when we shop here locally. So if we do want more money for our communities, shop locally.
Yeah. Thank you. Candidate Myron Lizer. Take a look around, you see youths of all ages, from young to all the way to college. How will you plan to help our Navajo youth?
What a great setup. I've been focusing on our youth and how to help. Let's bring them home. Let's bring them home because we'll have jobs and we'll have homes. I don't want to rob any statements from my closing statement, but already I've been very impressed with our youth. Those young ones that are in college, even graduating, working with, I'm a board member on Elevate USA, where we have a teacher mentorship program, where we're working with the age 8 on up to graduation, so that's 3rd grade up to the senior high, 12th grade, getting them in the pipeline, being mentored by high school students all the way through. And so what they're working on is career development, professional development, character development, and really just getting them ready for the workplace. And so I'm already invested in our youth, and I want to take that into the next presidential administration, where we're going to bring our youth home and we're going to pick their minds. I've already done so. I was intrigued by a young economist from the U of A who's traveling abroad right now. She really piqued my interest and my mind on a term called indigenous institutional redesign. I believe that they have the answer for what we're looking for going forward. I'm also bringing into mind some scripture. A man is certainly blessed when he leaves an inheritance for his children's children. It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about the next generations to the 7th generation. So if we're making wise decisions and if we're being good stewards of everything our Creator has given us, then I believe that we're going to have a bright future. And so I will tap into the youth right now, and I'm doing it right now, and they are impressing me. And I'm also hiring them as well. Go to our Shiprock store, our new store there in Shiprock, Ace Hardware, and you'll see nothing but youth there. And so our youth is the future.
Yeah. All right. Candidate Tom Chi, here's your question. What will you do to strengthen Dene language education so future generations do not lose fluency, identity, and traditional knowledge?
Thank you for that question. Our elders, before formal Bilgana schools came along, had their own universities, particularly the practitioners. When things are not in the order, they call a council together and they talked about it. How could they change some things? Our great leader that I had the last conversation with, Mr. Shishna Ash from Rock Point, said the reasons why our elders or our young people do not heal in traditional ceremonial activities is they don't understand the words that we use. Shikek hetene shikek these senda edota. So the zen ilneheki shikek hetene bejniko. Hajanshi da yoji nti. Sad ahisnini yendo zihado bespeho zendana. Ko thandezo ade a ein yenana tahle. Ebenina ASU de she PhD troschle or ASU de troschle di sad a whole new words for healing in our younger generation. What I'm getting at is Navajo is the most difficult language, the most complex language you can learn in the world. It supersedes English language far more than what we think. Our elders are the most intelligent being that we have right now, but yet we refer to them as uneducated. We could be the educated idiots if we continued that way. And I really look forward to that traditional education. Thank you.
Okay, ahead. Senator Chambers, your question. How will your administration address drug trafficking, violent crime, bootlegging, and drugs on the Navajo Nation?
We do have a drug problem, number one. And, you know, as an ex-correctional officer, you know, it's coming in as we speak in these communities. So that is the point A. We have to get tough on crime, number one. And if we continue to allow criminal activity in our communities, it's going to get worse. And so, you know, we're going to be looking at school shootings within these kind of, you know, buildings. It's going to happen. It's going to come one day. You know, so we look at these things, you know, it's all coming in from outside border towns. And, you know, it's happening in every part of the community. So as president, we have to draw the line in the sand and make that very clear that we're going to have zero tolerance against criminal activity. You know, your days are coming to an end as selling booze, meth, cocaine, you name it. You know, it's done. There's no negotiating with these guys. And so, you know, I believe that working with the FBI, with our federal partners, it can be done. And, you know, that is why I think that, you know, our police officers, even though they're shorthanded, they are doing the best they can within their capabilities. So, with that,
Go ahead. Candidate Emily Ellison, your question. What is your position on ICE activity, deportation, immigration enforcement, and protection of families living on or near the Navajo Nation?
Yat e nake dnenshle. Halsoi e dashiche ado betari dashinale akiani dashiche. So nake dne. My family comes from the Spanish people that went into New Mexico back in the 1840s. So we're an old Navajo Mexican clan. And then you look at Kia'anis, right? It's the oldest clan, Jen. Well, a Pueblo guy from Jemez said that they come from them. Benny Shendo. He said, your first leader, our first chairman, what was the man's name? He was part Pueblo. So you look at Chaco Canyon, the paths, those have been walked over thousands of years. Intercommerce, we've been walking, we've been immigrating, we've been getting involved with one another for a very long time. And then this foreign government came over with ships, and some pilgrims came off. And they said, here's a paper. All right, here's the rules, here's the law. I mean, we're humans, every single one of us. We should all have a right to prosper. We should all have a right to go a place where we can be safe. Yes, this is our homeland, but we've been here for not as long as we'd like to think. So I believe in human rights, I believe in human exploration, I believe in intermixing cultures. My own son, he's half Bilagana, and he'll remind me that, you know, I can look at the moon, Mom, I'm not full Navajo. So, you know, let's mix. Thank you.
Ooh, yeah. Arvin Trujillo, Canada. Arvin Trujillo, the last question of the night. So here's your question. What is your plan to address the cycle of addiction, trauma, poverty, and mental health issues on the Navajo Nation?
You know, looking at those particular issues, we really need to begin to see how we begin to work within our Department of Health, looking at our family and family services. Because again, right now there's dollars in there that really are not being utilized effectively. And again, that comes back to looking at capacity within those particular divisions. And how do we help those divisions improve on those areas? We need to begin to see how we can then better partner with the federal government in order to address these issues on within the way we would want to address them. And again, that really focuses on us having dialogue, having discussions with our partners out there and look at them as partners, whether they're from the state or federal government. I've done that. We've seen opportunities come in on a different level. Developing partnerships with the Department of Agriculture, which ultimately came down to bringing loans and grants to the nation. Again, looking at health, how do we effectively partner so we can begin to utilize the millions of dollars that are currently in those budgets, but right now are not being utilized effectively? You know, we need to work with our Navajo Nation employees. We need to work effectively in terms of strategic planning and development. We need to work on how we get results. I'm an engineer, and I want results. Talk about it, yes, but give me the results. As they say, they don't care how you bring the ship into port, just so you bring the ship into port. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. All right. It is closing remarks. Your final time to resonate or get your point across to all these potential voters, all these individuals right here in the Western Agency, Tuba City, the Western Agency in the House. Johnny Russell Jr., 2 minutes, and we'll go pass it on clockwise because we're real sacred here in the Western. 2 minutes.
Yeah, again, Shable gun Casido yesterday, others, do you not clear? Ado here, kind of Cairo could say Johnny Russell, can lay it now, Tilly. Ado here, the whole has a slaughter hick, ye jahi, Nankiri dish kiss. Eastern agencies paid out me. Kaya as art, Dodi hot air could a slaughter, things out as art, chaos and it. Dina so Canada, BLM, BLA, land allotment, art, Hat either door, little, Nenado, Beho needs other. You could K other, BLM, you cut the bagan, you could trade on Masania, Balchina Honabagan, Todoch and Clippiado, Tendo Bigata, BLM, you cut the bagan, they're trespassing at near. Hundo, 1,000 feet, ton till they say half mile or mile and don't tap in, don't done kid. Chaco can behind Tia. Ada by a stick. Chaco can in Ada Benastia. Ada Hodilson. Ada the Banat either. Banago, Bankin. Tarans that dino as that dino think the meal and sa Kaya. Nikim Kaya kicks on each at the hicka. Enka Ganana Tasha. Could you pin is your pinion hot Zarget order Nissan so much Anika Eastern Agency. Hashita don't get into the Carter, the Eastern Agency, Hashita, Yon Kadal, other date, any Akon Kadasli, Adokaya, Asho Jode, North Cadon, get better how those things, Atto Arjunat, Atto Arjudan killed Seta, Ado last week, Presidential Forum, hala hado let no. Na easy chapter, oh, and sino, dini, they got a yamba to hadoni. Alhania casino, about 10 miles there. I don't hear, I look at Johnny Russell Badartni. I don't consider Zindon can have a house now. I don't hear Shadartni.
Debbie Nez Manuel.
Thank you very much. Earlier, there was a question about how would we support our urban families, and I was biting at the bit. I wanted to answer that question. I want to make sure that we have vital records available for our families down in the valley. I want to make sure we have an elections office where they can cast their ballots so they don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to cast their ballot. I also want to make sure that we strengthen our relationships with casinos, because those dollars, whatever they're earning, whatever they're doing well down there, we can apply them here. We can also create remote work for all of our Navajo families. We have over 60, maybe 130,000 people down there. Why can't we give them work? We have so much to do. We also need a cultural tourism center. All of that urban area. Maricopa County is the 4th largest urban area. We can do so much more to make sure that we bring dollars home. Working on public safety is my platform, protecting our elders, people with disabilities, and our children. The most vulnerable people that we have. Up here, we're not vulnerable. The kids are. It's our job to protect them. We also need to make sure that we focus on social services and public health. We have chronic health issues coming from our heart, our sugar, our mental health issues. They're very serious, and we got to do something about it. We can't ignore it. We can't ignore the addictions that we face with families and people around us. Making sure we have educational opportunities, making sure that our universities match the vacancies that we have. Right now, I can say that I was fired because of my job, because I didn't fill vacancies. From what I know, nothing has changed. That wasn't the reason. It was because I was standing up to the establishment. I was standing up to the institution. I put my foot down, and because of that, I was let go. I am asking for your vote. Thank you very much. Debbie Nez Manuel, candidate number 12.
Frank Days Jr.
Hey, Kogo Hasnetne. Da Koida ni Nanshi da Sane var da Hasnet no. Koya is last son Schnedishno Hasnet. Aron da ya e Nanishan Chat. Nalia Basatan Dina Hodishno Schnet. Yobijan Huntla. What are you have a Tadolji? Aron dan Hodo Lego. Da an schon trauen an der State, oder schon an Isla. No, it's not ayot arbeit heidi chido nesnash nachoi. Kenahal kopen nashi, who a keda huit in the shell chinapel. Aron da quedo nani naho hoche, legend ha gedje, aje yaha o anuyata si gate. Aro legend hadlon delia. Koya na when the state, higi. Yaha eatne la belsen yende dilje o hun hinan de delia. Aron da yaha ste hol just never nant kerod has tahibi da hilsa. At ehit tot kodan neta. Honin kiltahalne eko. Shein kindanes traba da honitzi. Kenahon tataron nedesado kesa What are you in hinan de delia? Aron da zeil in the adelia todnesh je. Selete da has tahi. Aro kin pahanasi nligido edo ajon hinan shidelia elte das tage ho aw ye yahashanan isla ako epedo lel epe yah eni kendo khaton khadat yohnel July 21st gonnet that no Frank Dash Jr. Aron da aden helsen da agi the kin tratekeda hat enigi shido atakest in the judishnohne. I want to talk to the urban Navajos. I know you want to hear positive things about the Navajo Nation. I know you want to hear positive things about your Navajo leadership, and we would bring that stability to the Navajo Nation. Experience, leadership, and stability. That's what we'll bring here. Aron na Adahegis, a quagito, a yaha, Kehodol, don't bend the dealnish, a joe and the dealnish that no ye by Yadil till when's the whole just a here, Frank Dash Jr., number 6 on that.
Dr. Jordan Begay.
Good evening, Western Navajo. Woo! Good evening, Tuba City. I want to greet each and every one of you guys who came out this evening. Greetings to Shiche, our council delegate of the Tuba City chapter, Otto So. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Shinanta, for coming. As we're recognizing our leaders, good evening again. I greet each and every one of you, to the over 427,000 Navajos, to our every tribal member here in this room, to everyone joining the lives out there in the community, please come back July 21st and vote for Dr. Jordan Begay for Navajo Nation President, ballot position number 9. You are all each important. And as we're sitting up here again, I hope the voters are really assessing each candidate by our responses, our true understanding of the government system and how we're going to advocate for the people. What I bring in my campaign is the love for the people. Through the Department of Family Services. So I see that. If you're looking for a candidate who understands what we struggle with on a daily basis across Navajo, I'm the candidate who will understand. I'm the candidate who uses the same services each and every one of you guys utilize. I also want to thank the Tuba City chapter for definitely their strong leadership in being able to host this forum, for their strong leadership in showing what a chapter can do, what they can rise to the occasion and succeed. We talk about decentralization of our government. We have chapters that are doing that type of work. Tuba City, Kayenta Township, please vote for me. Thank you.
Dr. Boo Nygren.
Hey, the past 4 years was about getting things moving, and the next 4 years will be about accelerating progress. I want to say thank you for believing in me over the past 4 years. 4 years ago, you all told me we're tired of waiting, tired of excuses, and wanted the government to start moving. Leadership is not about promises. Leadership is about showing up every day and delivering results. The biggest accomplishment we did over the past 4 years is we got government moving, housing moves, homes built, homes delivered, home site leases 5 times better, veteran houses 36 times better, over 1,000 bathroom additions over the Navajo Nation, renovations. We lowered the cost of housing, water, electricity, family gained access to basic services across the Navajo Nation, roads improved 8 times the amount of your normal administration. We fixed potholes, rural communities moved, over 3,500 windmills, wells, stock tanks, over 365,000 pounds of wool collected, irrigation canals fixed, and over 110 earthen dams fixed. We supported our ranchers, our farmers, services moved, senior centers reopened, chapter houses reopened. We gave child care expanded for our workers. Scholarship double, accessibility improved, burial assistance increased by over 1,000 from 2,500 to 3,500. Healthcare facilities moved and schools moved all across the Navajo Nation. Record number of new tax revenues came through. We protected jobs. We increased minimum wage by $5 with the Navajo Nation government. Tourism growth, new business opportunities. The next 4 years will be about accelerating progress. More homes, more electricity, more water, stronger health care, better roads, elder care, education. And this campaign is not about me. It's about the future of the Navajo Nation. The work is not finished. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep building. I want to say thank you and God bless the great Navajo Nation. Okay.
Andrew Curley.
We have a simple question. As Dene people, as you've experienced and heard these numbers, do you feel your lives are better today than they were 4 years ago? And those are the questions. Those are the questions that you as voters, as you as citizens are presented with. If you are... So I wanted to take a moment to thank some of my supporters that came here. My wife, who's sitting here, Nana Beck. She's a jeweler and she's surrounded by her family. I was stumbling a little bit at the introduction because I was a little bit choked up. I saw Raymond Max, who served with my dad on council, and I was just thinking back about those days when I was like a student of government working at Dene College, and then at that moment I was thinking about a lot of our past leaders who have since passed away, and I wish they could be here now, because I'm standing here trying to do something, trying to advocate for the Navajo Nation in a way that I feel, based on my training and experience, is better for our people. And you all feel welcome to choose who you want, but I'm here with a platform, and I'm here to give the Dene people opportunities and an option on things that I think are critical. Number 1, land reform. I've talked about that a lot. Number 2, no more mining. I'm giving you a clear choice, Dene voters. If you don't want uranium haulage trucks, if you don't want uranium mining, if you don't want in situ leach mining, vote for me. I say no, Dota. Ask any of these other candidates if they share that same platform. Number 3, downsize the office of President, Vice President. With all due respect to the doctor here, I believe we spend too much money on that office. It's an independent fiefdom. I can do the work for cheaper. Finally, I want to promote sustainable development. Thank you very much, Tuba City audience and chapter leaders.
Justin Jones.
Yat Arnold's quite is not our Konza hold easily. Oha said need. Are there no Satligi, are there or chili, spitted open yes, a hot air the dick at Dark Horsti, Nahat Ak at the cut ash. Are we going to give that kind of a government to our children? Heck no. Da akut ago what has ash quag achin but at ato. Sha mado jejid lo da hat idet ayat el shalchin which what is slil that zinzo da what a bed the halaj dil chihodan jilnishle. Aden hit hot at it. I quote, oh, Eugene, kid, what are the problems? So let's begin to think like Navajos, the Nekahon Sea Kesosha. Okay. Na achko ates na altye. To anoho no she hasen. Do di kota hozotle netenel tye. Kot an hilgas atede. Ebene na did net in that chok ato konzahon hit holjish. Eschats anasens endole. And Lenit Aba ejil kio shibik esh ishi o bik nishi o. But the fact is the fact. Ekut khashit asht edo nil. Who is going to be the one to fix it that don't know benda? You're going to be the ones, not me. You are. Why? And when is it going to start? July the 21st, when you vote number 8, Justin Jones. That's when it's going to begin. Aroha hajishtida. At ya edik at kwagen denel kidi diko hdil what nesh ishgitaz. Kadedo beke nadwas. So we need to let the drivers go home. Ekut Ade kodo chidakadatit aso hajot chinda handado kiesne school hajota idostra nitsino ye nzike so di ye aha.
Kristen Curley.
Oh, yat eto kodo nan kideshni. Thank you to Tuba City Chapter, Western Agency, ado kodo Allah hata asi. I'm not here to complain. I'm actually here to do the work for the people. Although we don't move anywhere. No, we're just going to be in the same place again. Thank you, Western Agency. Some solutions. I'm just going to only talk solutions, because that's what our people deserve. Uranium transportation. We need a stronger Attorney General, and that's my commitment. We do need to visit the agreement that was made underneath the Department of Justice, because we already made a stance to oppose uranium transportation. And that is my commitment. Number 2, And as the speaker, I've been working hard on our water rights. Our water rights started back in 1985. It's almost as old as me. We can't grow and develop as a people without water. We need to present to our people a master water plan. And former Bennett Freeze, no one's talking about former Bennett Freeze. We need to rename that too. We don't want to be discriminated and labeled as a former Bennett Freeze. That needs to be relabeled, maybe for opportunities, so our people should be able to grow within those areas. And creating a former Bennett Freeze office here in Tuba City, so those people can have the resources here within this community. We do need a new facility here. This facility is the first one to have a cancer facility. We need to build upon that. And, it's not about separation up, but complaining about future solutions.
Myron Lizer.
Oh, yeah, Shidinam. I want to thank the Creator, my Lord and Jesus Christ, who gives me the ability to be here and the strength. I want to thank my wife for her undying support as she's at home, probably working right now, still in the store in Windrock. Somebody's got to man the ship while Daddy's gone. I also want to thank local government and Greyhills Academy. Thank you for this time. And all of our supporters that are here, Lizer team. I just want to remind you, if you haven't seen me out west, we're coming hard. For economic sovereignty, for visionary leadership, for growth and prosperity of our great Navajo Nation. Our people deserve it. On housing, I hear 110 homes in 4 years. We're going to build 1,250 in 1 year. When that factory gets built in Shiprock, eco panels, 3D home printing, and it's because I'm a businessman and the outside of the box thinking that I hear everybody allude to, well, we're actually doing it. It's because of high cost of materials in this time and day and age of tariffs, is that we're putting together a plan to build homes adopting and utilizing new technologies like eco panels and SIPS panels and these new systems like 3D home printing. This is the way you could just use simple sand, water, and Portland cement to build homes. And 3 people to do it. Somebody manning the computer and 2 big burly guys or gals to fill the trough with water, Portland, and sand. That's how we're going to build a lot of homes for our people. We talked about youth earlier. I had the distinction of, 16 seconds. Lord help me. The young adults, we want to bring all our professionals home. There's a lot of our bright individuals that are working abroad. We're making other tribes wealthy. Let's bring them home, Shidineh. You elect Myron Lizer. Position 1 on the ballot. Look no further.
Tom Chi.
Neto zago, etahoto zego kon no yado isolta, halila bendach benahat ala dan sohono ya, hehe, ado shiche hehe, not ani hat hasita, wahazo be hodes gelgo, shiche hehe, ado the hospitality of the Tuba City community here in the surrounding area. Thank you for that good nashiji stew with fried bread. You see, should change the name there. Not only Jileko do Yoj de Pita. Let the netwas of Nasaji Yan Jita Handat Insha. Not only yo the Pitlin Hania. A Kata Hanita Nido Jis. Whole Yeni but suit and shit at Nil. I really want to come home to this idea on my platform, developing the land, adjusting the sails of our government to meet the needs of our Navajo middlers, meaning our children that have gotten their college degrees, they honed their skills as an employee and came home. We have nothing to offer them. We need to have a place for them. How do we give them equity into the value of their property? How do we give them, support them with their children's scholarship? How could we go beyond and create? They're the ones that will be behind us. I don't have very much to live anyway, just a few more years, then we're out of here. It's the younger generation we need to invest in. There's a difference between living on land and owning land. We're creating policies that are people with ownership of land. It doesn't work. We're a trustee land. We don't own the land, so we got to find ways to make these differences. Thank you.
Alexander Chambers.
You know, Dik Nikhol Jishriya, Dini Hikeya, Dibahazleya, Di Allah Shlai, An Hinid zo Eneta, An Hinid zo E Yeltke, An Hinid zo E Todilzen. Joko, this is a good example right here. You know, we can do whatever we want because of our ancestors. Lego Welte Hona Asteya. They shed their lives for us to be here today. Ebinina Nihena hat aba huilyao yat e. Dobach ah yeltke o yat e. Hey hajo il o e yat e. E kwegi. They left these sohdazin ya. Nsakis yat ehegi. Dona ntkin yat ehegi. Ebel khadat anhinat ya. So that is what we got to remember, is our ancestors. And then our past leaders, but we still carry on, like former President Ben Shelley, former President, Vice President Rex Lee Jim, whole administration, so we got to remember our leaders in that way. Eshi ol yeya nahat abatzil nahat ayat ehgi ebe joko ko ebe bichindahandi kashik eno sini, and that's where these fundamental issues come in. Ekwagi bahuni zinoyat ehya, and all our leaders di kona has kagiya. It's ashid bejil so yat ehi. So, you know, as a nation, we're going to move on forward.
Emily Ellison.
Well, we lost 10-8. Good season, though. To quote RBG, women belong in all places decisions are made. And I stand behind that 100%. And anybody that's up here that doesn't agree, well, we disagree and you're gonna hear from me. As you will hear from every single Masani, mom, grandma, sister, auntie that has always helped. I believe in equality. I believe that we're humans. And I believe that we all need to be heard. Cronyism, nepotism, it's almost traditional in our Navajo government. A government that we copycat. We copycat Title I, copycat Title 26. Now we copycat CFR, Code of Federal Regulation. We're just a bunch of copycatters. How do we build our economy? We build our economy by wiping out corruption. We put those people in jail, in probation, make them pay fines when they violate the trust that we give them. The Attorney General's office needs to be elected. We need someone with integrity in there. Ethics office needs to be taken out of council. Council needs to be reformed. How many of you guys have gone to the Navajo Nation with your Navajo ID and they said it's not good enough? Well, under my administration, it will be powerful again. So, vote Emily Ellison because I'm really the only real change that is standing here. Thank you.
Arvin Trujillo.
I guess to save the best for last. You know, what I bring here, like I said, I've got 40 years of diverse management experience running large organizations. I ran the Division of Natural Resources for 11 years. I know the government, I know how it works, and I know how to get results done. What are some of the things that I achieved? I was on the negotiating team that got the Bennett freeze lifted. I was on that team. I got Navajo water rights completed with the state of New Mexico. As a result, we got the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project done. Division of Natural Resources did that. We built the hotel at Monument Valley. Division of Natural Resources did that under my leadership. We also extended the life of Four Corners Power Plant in Navajo Mine. By doing so, that operation brings in $70 million a year to the nation in royalties and taxes, $90 million in salaries, $11 million supporting contractors and supporting vendors, Navajo vendors. You know, those are some of the results that I've gotten. And so, what's the platform? I'm looking at it foundationally. You know, I'm hearing great dreams, great ideas. But it's got to start foundationally. We got to get our branches working together. That doesn't mean that they're going to agree with everything, but we get them to work together. I know how to do that. All these projects here, I didn't have full council support, but we worked on it. We debated. We found ways to make it work, get the majority vote. Second is to get our employees to bring customer service back to our people. Bring that customer service so you're not looking for that service. And finally, looking at economic development for our kids. Bring our youth, our best and our brightest back. They are our future, but we don't have them here. They're gone. We grew by 100,000, 300, 400,000.
All right. Please, can we give a huge round of applause for all these candidates who took time to be here with us, share their thoughts, their idea, their platforms, and tell you why you should be voting for them for the office of the president. Again, the cream of the crop. Again, Western, give them a round of applause. Look, let's go ahead and stand and cheer for this very prestigious group of individuals. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Now, the Tuba City chapter does have some gifts real quick for all the candidates. If we can get those gifts up here, we do want to thank them for being here with us and again sharing their thoughts, their ideas, their platforms, and everything they want to share with us about how they're going to make the Navajo Nation better should you elect them into the office of the presidency. Now, one thing I want to share real quick. While the Tuba City chapter is handing out these gift bags, I do want to say something. You know, when there's negativity out there, when there's ugly information out there, we're real quick to share it and cheer it and listen into that drama, but I do want to share something positive. The Tuba City chapter underwent a full audit this past year. The conclusions are 0 findings, a full clean audit by the Tuba City chapter. Share that positivity with the same emphasis we share others. You don't hear about good things like that. Tuba City chapter, a big, huge congratulations on your full clean audit. And now to close us out, Myra Begay. Now, real quick, as soon as the candidates are done, you guys, they will go ahead and disperse. They can hang around. You guys are more than welcome to talk to the candidates, say hi, shake their hands, all that good stuff when we're done.
Joya Ananat Shea Myra Begay and Shiedo Tonanes Tuba City chapter president Twadich 18 Tadeshki Bashish Chin last year dash Chado touching in a dash nala Akodo Aya Shiaho Tuba City Adon lay coal mine the Ayasha Shogun has ando be gashido be the beda ada hollo. Ado hehat nana the for everybody that attended here today. Thank you for coming out. We've been putting this on our Facebook page, our Western Navajo Fair page. I'm glad that everyone is here this evening with us. Nana Ado, all of the presidential candidates. So nana the forum bansi kaigi ba hensen. With that, we're going to go ahead and we are running past our timeline. So I just want you guys to all be aware of your surroundings as you're returning home. Be careful, travel safely on the highway, and thank you again for your attendance to our Tonanestiza Chapter 2026 Forum. Ado, I just want to also recognize our delegate, Oto So, and our former Tuba City Chapter President, Mr. Gerald Kitso is also here. Stand up, Mr. Kitso. Thank you very much. I sat as a vice president for him for 4 years. I really appreciate him for that. Presidential Forum Bansi Kaigi ba Hen Sindi de Ko Njono de Kwa candidates Njono Kwa Nakahas Kaigi Nakab Shabun Londo Leftigini de Kon Ashi Anand and the de Ko Aya with Benanish Delin ba Heta needs and Don Jungo de Kon Naso de Kon Belkun Lono let Shabi Kon Londo let or Aro di kwa the nekwa and has kaigi is the unity conjun go shabel londo let the unity con as they travel home. Continue to bless them and be with them and take care of them as they travel. The uni each and every person that's here auto kwa the Junugo kwa Tuba City chapter so Junugo kwa the forum gi Junugo Yanas kaigi to ba hensen don Junugo the to shab bless in sindo let kwa and Junugo di naso ne di kon nane kato let so addition the unity con hajondo let they and so addition hajon hasli.
All right, with that being said, you guys are officially adjourned. You can go ahead and shake hands and talk amongst your favorite candidate. Get a little more information. Go ahead and get those Q&As if you guys want. Thank you guys. Ahead to every one of you.